Welcome to you moms that are new on here. We've had several moms message me this morning and want to get connected and be able to join us this morning. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited to have you with us. And we at the beginning were kind of muted just as we're getting going. When you come in and join, go ahead and mute at the beginning just so that and we don't really care. We're a group of moms. Like, we expect there to be noises and things in the background with our kids and stuff. It's not like we're thinking, oh, this is very serious and we're an adult group and we're having this very adult conversation. No, we're moms and we're talking in the midst of our normal lives. So don't worry about that. You can have crazy going on in the background and still be participating as much as you want. We love it. If your kids are trying to get their heads into the picture, we don't discourage that either. We love seeing their faces. So don't worry about that. Be comfortable here. You can have your camera on or off. We love it when you have your cameras on because we love to see you. We love to see your faces as we're interacting, but we also completely understand if the morning's just one of those that you need to be off camera, and that's okay. That's fine. So it's good to see you here. I have to say, Ida, that there was curiosity about your situation in Texas. So I think we're going to have to hear from you for a minute to see how you and your family are doing.
Yeah, we're doing awesome. Actually, we have been doing really good. It's crazy because I mean, today it's been like over a week now and the snow is on the ground, which is just crazy. Like if we get snow in Texas, it's like it melts the same day kind of a thing, or maybe the next day. So like a week of snow and ice on the ground is just unheard of. Which isn't, I mean, like I'm actually from Minnesota and Washington area growing up. So like Texas is not designed to handle this kind of weather. They don't build houses, they don't have any kind of infrastructure to deal with this sort of thing. So a lot of things that aren't built to withstand those kind of cold temperatures for that kind of time frame are really struggling. Like people's houses. Tons of people, they have pipes that froze and burst, and um it's just a mess that way. And then a lot of people lost power, like trees have been down, and all kinds of other things with that. And then because our power grid has been um overextended, I guess, is, like we have, so we have wind turbines, so people have heard a lot about that probably. And we have gas and oil and all these other things, right? And we've I guess in Texas they've been building infrastructure for these one kind of, well, I won't get into all that. Anyway, so we have a lot, we have enough energy here, but apparently we've been not doing enough to build it up. And so that suffered. Like our gas lines, some of the gas lines froze, the turbines froze. We had problems with a couple of nuclear plants that had to be shut down because of the cold weather and stuff. So anyways, just craziness. But we're doing okay. Like people in the ward and everybody around is like sharing stuff, and like checking on their neighbors and things. And it's great. That's great. Like, so like people helping each other, and that's been cool. And lots of people from up north checking on us, like, are you guys all right down there? And actually, I don't know like how we've left out, but our little area, we have had consistent power. We haven't had any trouble with the water. A lot of people, the water was turned off because the water treatment plants were losing electricity too.
Oh.
And so they couldn't purify the water. So we're supposed to be boiling water. And some people lost water completely for a while. So that has been a problem. But we just boil water. And so we've been okay. We've had heat and, electricity and internet. And we're like, fingers crossed. No, saying lots of prayers. Thank you. And a lot of people got stuck down here. Like my in-laws came down to visit actually, and they were here an extra week because of all this. So they just left to go catch their flight today. So hopefully we'll be able to get home. But it's just a mess. And nobody here knows how to drive in the snow. We don't at all. It's just sad.
Funny to those who do know, probably, but it's kind of like Bakersfield when it rains. It's kind of sad that that's that's our thing that happens, but people here do not know how to drive in the rain. So
Yeah, but it's like even if you do and you're used to driving in the snow, like they don't have snowplows. They don't really sand the roads. They don't have anything to do with it because they're, it's like it's a once in a lifetime kind of thing here. So it's like we're not going to invest all that money into plows and things when we use them like seriously every maybe 10 years,
right,
So
right. Wow. Wow.
anyway,
Well,
so that's a theory.
thank you for the update. We were curious. We had others that were asking, and I said I got to talk to you last night, but I thought it would be more fun to hear from you. So thank you
Yeah, no
for
problem.
updating us. Okay, appreciate that. All right, so today the plan was to talk a little bit more about mothers of influence to make sure that we understand what kinds of things, what that means. What is a mothers of influence group? As our group is evolving from a mostly homeschooling mom mentoring group to a mothers of influence group. I want to make sure everyone understands what that means. And then we'll quickly move to what are you learning? What have you, mom, been learning lately that you could share with us? And I'm not looking for some big, grand intellectual pursuit. I just want to know the little thing that you might have noticed when you were outside and thought was fascinating, or a book you picked up and ran across some really interesting article or something, or a new hobby or something. So think about that as we discuss a little bit about what a Mothers of Influence group is. Does anyone want to comment on what they understand from the Well Educated Heart app or page or whatever, from that information, what you understand a Mothers of Influence group to be? And remember, I always give you some time to think about that. Remember that when you're working with your children, it takes at least a minimum of 30 seconds to process a question. And then you got to come up with what you believe, what you want to say about it. So it takes a little time. Anybody want to venture anything out there? If you don't, it's fine. And I'll go there myself, but I hate to be the only one talking here. Lindsay.
I'll jump in. I think for me, a Mothers of Influence group is that it's just influencing each other and talking about how we can influence others, like we've been talking about last week and this week. Hold on, babe. And like learning together, like you said, like what are we learning? What can we learn together? And that's it. It's pretty simple.
Well, and I loved the quotes that were shared last week that are from the page, the Mothers of Influence page. So for those of you who might not know, on the Well Educated Heart page or app, you can click on a thing that is, I don't know if I'm going to get too much of a glare, but it is Mothers of Influence. It's on that page. And it talks about what a Mothers of Influence group is, what they do. And it is that it's mothers realizing that we have an influence for good and getting together and talking about how we nurture our hearts. Because as we nurture our hearts, then we're better prepared to nurture those of others around us, including our children, but also others that we have an influence on, others that come into our path. I know this quote Lindsay shared last week, and I have my glasses. And it is, to put the world in order, we must first put the nation in order. To put the nation in order, we must first put the family in order. To put the family in order, we must first cultivate our personal life. We must first set our hearts right. So that's why it starts with us. Our hearts need to be set right in order for the family to be set right, in order for the nation and the world. So that's a significant thing there. And this is one that Marlene likes to share often, and it's really quite wonderful and powerful if you think about it. And that is this one from Helen Hunt Jackson. Oh, if the world could only stop long enough for one generation of mothers to be all right, what a millennium could be begun in 30 years. So think about that. That's just one generation of moms. If one generation of moms' hearts could be set all right, what a huge influence, what a millennium could be begun just in that 30 years, that generation. So that's happening right now all over the world. It's really interesting how women are feeling this pull. They're feeling this call to do something, to be something more, to use their influence for good in the lives of those around us. Do you see that? Have you seen that in your life? Do you have anything you want to share about that, about the influence of women in the world right now for good? And just think about that for a sec. I don't know how much you think about that influence that you have just on your own family, but it's huge. If you have that situation, you have children in your home, those are all little people that are going to grow up and be big people and go out into the world and could possibly influence the world around them for good because of the things that they learned at your knee. And I love that idea. And it's powerful. And look at you mamas. You're just in the middle of mom stuff right now.
That quote made me think of another thing that she shared in something that I just read, but I can't remember, about the pilgrim spirit, and that the pilgrims knew, the pilgrims or pioneers both, that they knew that they were just laying the foundation. Like they knew that what they were doing wasn't for them. It was for, sorry, it was for the future generation. So like we know that what we're doing is laying a foundation for.
She goes off mic because of her dog. That's funny. But yes, I've been seeing that a lot too. And even in my readings or my listenings, I've been going through the podcasts, Marlene's podcasts, and so many stories about those people who laid a foundation for what was to come later. And that's another powerful thing. I don't know if you listen to podcasts. I know Lindsay got me started, but so it's just Google Podcasts, on my phone, just what was simple and easy and I could access fast. But you can sign up for, or you can find Marlene and the Well-Educated Heart. I don't know why it's so hard for me to find my camera. But then if you do that, and you can go through, and all of her podcasts are listed there, and you can go through, and if you start on the most recent one, it's going to play and then end, but you can set it to just keep playing. So I just went all the way to the end and started, and I've just been slowly going through them, and they are beautiful and inspiring. And I learn things that I didn't know before. If my brain worked completely well and I could remember the things, then it would be a really good situation. But at least I'm learning. It's been put in there. I'm not quite sure how to access it. How do you bring some learning into your lives every day or every week? What do you do to make sure that you're learning something, that you're growing, that you are nurturing your own heart? What kinds of things do you moms do? Ida.
Well, I don't think I necessarily do all the time, but I really try. But one thing that I love is like, I think if you're trying, I feel like the spirit like helps you to see connections between things that you wouldn't normally see. Like talking about the like preparation and laying a groundwork, right? So I know that in one I listen to a lot of the podcasts that Marlene has done too. Anyways, and I listened to this one, and she was talking about Johnny Appleseed, which I didn't know very much about him. I mean, like what you learn in school, this guy that walked around with a pan on his head. Anyways, and I listened to that, and I was like, what? And so then I started taking all these notes and like trying to figure out the time and everything, and the location and how that related to other things that I know about that time, and I was like, this is so cool. And then I was listening to this other thing, and it mentioned Johnny Appleseed, and then just a couple like I share this with all my family because I was like, this is so cool. And so then I was listening. Oh, was it something about or my scripture study the other day, and it talked about how these different people were laying the groundwork for others, and they were kind of like John the Baptist, right? He was preparing the way. And there are many others who have done that very same thing, preparing the way. And I was like so struck by that, and also struck by like lots of people are involved in that. Like we are preparing the way too. And we are like, you know, I'm not John the Baptist, but hey, I'm like, I can do that too. Like I can be, whatever. So it was just so cool to see, like, to think about all those things. And anyways, I don't know if you want, I have these cool things that I have on my wall that are all about that I can share, in the text or something maybe.
Yes, yes. And Ida, you could share them in the email.
Oh yeah, sure. I'll do
So
that.
because we keep meaning to be better about that. Lindsay and I finally decided we just have to make an appointment and say, this is when we're going to write the newsletter.
It's hard.
This is done, then we get the editing done, and then it's Friday again. And so I don't know how that happens. Marie, you came on screen. Were you going to share?
No, I just thought I'd finally show my face. I got my makeup on.
There we go. Nice. It's good to see you.
You too.
I love that. That would be me lurking because I hadn't done my makeup yet, So we all get that. We all understand that. Okay. Any new moms who want to introduce yourselves, where you are coming from, where you're at in your pursuit of the well-educated heart? Michaela?
I'm just getting started. My best friend since before we were born is doing Well-Educated Heart. So she introduced me. And when you ask the question, what do you do to make sure you're learning? Honestly, just hanging out with her is what I do, because she kind of got me started. I've done the, what do you call it? The first intro course. And so just talking to her about that, and I started reading the philosophy book, and like every time we get together now, it's just like a big old, oh my gosh, can you believe this? This is so cool. How about this? Oh my gosh. Like it's just really, really fun. So I just feel like making time to, I guess that's kind of like a Mothers of Influence group helps. But yeah, I'm in Utah. I'm just starting my adventure of learning.
Wonderful. Michaela, can I ask you where in Utah?
Yeah, I'm in Brigham City right now, but we're actually signing papers tonight to move down to Cedar City.
Oh, wow. Okay, wonderful. Thank you for coming on. Okay, anybody else? Any other new mamas willing to share? I see Shannon popped up. Does that mean you're willing to share, or are you just sharing your lovely face with us?
Can I do both? No, I'm just kidding.
Yes, absolutely.
So I just got on like 5 minutes ago because I'm in New York. I'm in New York, so I'm in a different time zone. So it like threw me for a second there. Anyways, so yes, I'm in Western New York. I'm in Leroy, it's called, which is very small. We're kind of in the country. We've only been here for the last like year and a half. But I did grow up here, and then I was in Utah, and now I'm here. But anyways, I've been looking through the Well-Educated Heart stuff for the last I guess like the last like year, and I started just kind of like putting little things here and there in that I was picking up and learning or seeing in the rotation or whatever, and just like poking that into what I was already doing for homeschool last year. And then this year I like actually planned it ahead, and I actually decided to use the rotation schedule, and I'm like really loving it. Like, I mean, I was already like a lot of the aha moments and everything, like, oh wow, this completely makes sense. And for me, like, it's really important in my development. I don't even know if this is what you were asking for, because I've only been here for 5 minutes, but for my development, like, I feel like it's really important to soften my heart. Like, I feel like I have always had really strong faith, and I don't know, passion and like energy and stuff like that for a lot of good strengths in other areas, but like I just feel like my heart doesn't slow down and get soft as much as it should. Um and it wasn't like, I don't know, I feel like there wasn't a lot of that in my house growing up either. My parents both had a lot of emotional baggage, um and so they didn't really know how to connect with us emotionally, and they're trying to learn how to do that now, especially my mom, which makes it really cool to be going through like the same kind of a journey as she is. And so anyway, so for me, like I'm constantly looking for more things to like that I really feel like, oh wow, that really warmed my heart. Like that's like the big focus of it for me, is warming heart and just loving everyone and every, from every area, and the truth that you can find everywhere. And
You're wanting to put that stuff away or do something with it, then do that, okay?
oh, sorry. So one thing that like has been actually really cool for me lately, which I feel like this is so like, I don't know, like this is like the kindergarten version or something, but um but like the chicken soup for the Mother Soul books, like I found them at a used bookstore and for like a couple bucks, and just decided I'd start doing that, which is really great for me and my not being able to sit down and read for a long time. But like the stories in there were just really great, and it helped me to like really, I don't know, pay more attention to the warming too. And so anyways, so if anyone needs something really quick and easy, bite-sized pieces, I really like those. Just like when I have a chance to sit for like, 5 minutes, then I can do that. So anyways, that's me. I've got 5 kids. I live in New York, and yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you. So this is kind of like back of the toilet kind of read. Sorry, but that's I mean, when else do you have time?
Yes.
That's how it feels anyway. Well, it's wonderful. Good. Thank you. Now, so you're in New York. We've got Tennessee and Texas and sometimes Michigan, and remind me, where else? Several Utah, California. But anyway, so it's fun to have moms from different places. I love that. Okay. Anybody else? Any other new mamas want to share? And if
Hey, Lori, sorry for that interruption a minute ago. I didn't know my, microphone was.
I did it Sunday for a church meeting. I always check to see if I'm muted. I totally didn't. And I was like playing the talk that we were going to be anyway. It was super loud and I was talking and not even aware. Don't even worry about it. We all have to do it, right? At least once, so that we all have compassion for each other. That's how that works. So welcome.
Thank you. I was just going to say, I'm from Panaca, Nevada. We are starting our Mothers of Influence group next week. Hopefully it will go well. I was just going to say to Michaela, I'm 80 miles from Cedar City, and they started several months ago Mothers of Influence group there that's just awesome. My cousin's in it, and they've invited me to come because that's about the closest place to us, and I haven't been able to make it, but they're amazing women. So as soon as you get down there, you'll have to let them know that you're here.
I love that. I love that because this group keeps connecting like outside of this group and making connections with moms that they just feel drawn to. And I love that. I think that's awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Jamie. Anyway, were you going to share more about you and your family, your situation? You said you told me you have just a few women in your group, right? That are meeting.
We do. We are a very rural, small community. So there's about 900 people in our town here in Panaca, but we have Kalani 15 miles one way that has about 1,000 people, in Pioche 12 miles the other way that has about 800 people. And so we have 1 or 2 women in each town that have kind of started to do Well Educated Heart in the past year. And it's kind of funny because it branched out from me because I was directed to it by my cousin's wife, who's been using it for quite a few years. And this was our first year starting out. I have 8 kids and my oldest just graduated. And then my youngest is 2. And so my oldest 2 boys are still in high school full-time per their decision, but I've kept my youngest 5 home this past year. And we started the journey due to concerns about COVID restrictions and our kids being home last year and just feeling like it wasn't adequate. And of course, it kind of took me on the spiritual journey that it was more than just COVID. My kids needed to be under my care full time and under my teaching. And the Well-Educated Heart just was incredible to me. I mean, I say every week, like, I hope they're getting as much out of this as I am, because I love it. You know, last night we had a Middle Eastern feast and watched a beautiful little Iranian show, you know, reading the captions out loud. But it has just been everything that Marlene says it is, just heartwarming in so many ways. So I just love it.
Thank you. Yes, Michaela. Okay, so Michaela is asking Jamie about what you just said. Could you, are you able to add that to the chat? Just some information for her in the chat?
Yes, I will try to do that. Okay.
Thank you. So Michaela, Jamie's got a connection in Cedar City. Her, I can't remember. Sorry, Jamie, sister, cousin, somebody, and they have a Mothers of Influence group there. So she's saying it's awesome. So as soon as you get there, you can hook up with that group. I love that. Oh, I said the thank you. Okay. Any other mamas want to come on and introduce yourself and share? If you don't, we can do it a little bit later, and you don't have to. Remember, you can stay completely off camera. You don't have to say a word. You can lurk. We don't mind. That's completely fair and part of the group. Okay, so continuing on, I love this. We're talking about warming our own hearts, how we do that. What a blessing it is. How using the Well-Educated Heart as our school, you know, our Mother's University, is such a blessing to our lives. And I'll tell you, it's funny how we kind of feel guilty when it's doing something positive for us. Why do we do that? I don't know, but it's good for us to be feeling good. It's good for us to do something for us, to make sure we have that time to fill our cups, to warm our hearts, because it naturally trickles down and it affects and influences all of those who we are around, our children, our husbands, our extended family, our neighbors, our friends. It just can't hurt anybody. It's such a positive thing. So anybody else want to share about your journey or your day or last week, something that you're doing to warm your own heart? Something you found, you know, that's effective, that works for you, or something you're excited about. I love that moms are getting excited about what they're learning and they're excited to share with each other. Oh, I wanted to say I loved that Shannon's comment was, I'm sorry, hold on. Oh, Michaela's was, one of her things she does to warm her heart is just hang out with a good friend, and they share and talk about the things that they're learning about. So like Marlene says, I mean, that's Mothers of Influence. That's two moms getting together and sharing and talking about what they're learning, what's warming their own hearts. So back to you. Did anybody have anything they wanted to share more about warming their own hearts?
I'll share for a second.
Good.
Okay. So I've really enjoyed this group, and I love how I didn't know about the app. I just downloaded the app. So that's great about the, so I just did that. And, you know, and it talks about, you know, our hearts and being quilted together. And if you look at our Zoom screen, if instead of just a speaker view, I mean, it's true. It's like a quilt right here, you know? And so, and that part to me is, you know, is pretty cool. Warming my heart really and truly has been my Fridays, this time, you know, and it's amazing how I look forward to this time. I could have the craziest day, I could have the craziest week or whatever, but it's just been so great to learn and share, because I think as women, we tend to want to share to somebody that understands or has empathy, or, you know, something like that. And so I've been really grateful for that, for this group of people sharing and feeling connected in that way, and feeling like you're not alone in that sense, you know, and that part has been great. So I've truly loved it, because I'm fairly new myself to all of this the last, you know, month or whatever, but it's just been such a I guess my soul, my spirit, has been searching for it because it fills me up for sure and gets me going for the next week. I'll just share one little thing that I've thought about this week in the mother, being influenced and helping and all of that with kids. And I've got teenage girls. I have 4 teenage girls, my oldest on a mission, my youngest 13 going on 17, who tried 2 days ago to wear fake eyelashes to school. Yeah, I have her in a charter, little small, like little charter, whatever school, who goes to only for a few hours. But anyway, but she's trying to wear these fake eyelashes. And it's just, yeah, anyway, going on 17. But the one thing that I've got a redhead who is just like me, and we might have a child that is very much like us, right? And we know how we are. And we kind of do this, hit. And then the phones, having the phones being in our kids' hands and things like that. So the one thing I started doing was hugging. I started hugging more. I started snuggling and hugging and put the phone, literally grabbing the phone, putting it down, and just hugging my children more and more and more. And what I found is that, like today, oh my gosh, I must be starting. Like today, that I had to go. I took my redhead. We went to Walgreens, get her gas, and normally it would be a attitude, because I'm trying to teach her as well, life experience and stuff like that, and money and blah blah blah. And but we needed to get her soap and stuff. But here we are at Walgreens, and she's like, "Mom, let's try on sunglasses. Let's do that." Like I'm finding in my relationship with my children is changing, and I just did one simple thing, and it was hugging and hugging more and hugging longer, embracing them. And so that is something that I learned this past week, is just the touch, a mother's touch, I guess. So
I love that. I love that you shared that. And it's important. It's important to do that. It's important to remember how much we like, there's the occasional person who's just not a hugger. And so there is that. But aside from that, most of the time it is so meaningful to be hugged, to just feel that connection with another person. And it can be very, very calming. Very calming. Sorry, I was typing, so I was distracted. Could you tell? I can't do 2 things at once anymore, I guess.
well, and that's how my redhead was. Her arms would be like this. And so I literally would have to grab, and she would just do this attitude like, ugh. But after constant, all of a sudden she's leaning in. You know what I mean? That's like, you have to break it down a little bit, because I think they really want it.
No, I think you're right. And look at the comments over here, that's come up as something moms have been prompted to do. And it came up for me this week, and it's funny you brought it up because I was going to bring it up. There's a mom on Instagram who is posting a picture of just snuggling with her child. And she said, instead of correcting and disciplining, she started just getting them, sitting down and snuggling with them for a few minutes, and let them go. And it's like, it's okay now. It's all right. I mean, it's not like it's going to solve everything, but why not try that first? Why not go there first, and see? And it's going to at least calm both of you down a little more. So I think that's wonderful. And to stick with it, even when you have a porcupine, right? Lindsay Bunting, you were going to say something a few minutes ago.
I accidentally did the hand raise thing. I noticed it after a while. I'm like, oops. But
You just wanted
absolutely.
attention.
Yeah, I just, that's me. The hugging though is so true. I have a brother-in-law that is all about the science behind hugging and the 20-second hug and how that can fight depression, and not just for kids. Like, he'll hug all the adults. It is the best thing ever. Like, it is just him coming in and hugging people and doing the 20-second hug and everything has really helped even the adults' relationships with each other. And a lot of times I even sent a picture to Lindsay Watkins one day because I do like this little blank page brainstorming thing for each of my kids. I try to do it every week, but I don't usually do it every week. And I just like pray for what each of them needs and then jot down as the Spirit tells me what each of them needs, and then just kind of try to focus on that for the week. But several weeks in a row, it was, I think a long time ago, it was for my third child, it was just to hug him more. And then recently it's been for my 5-year-old, just hug her all the time. And that's all I get. Like, don't worry about anything else, just hugs. And it really is magical what it can do for them. It changes everything. And I have a porcupine girl too. She's my oldest, and her dad is huge, and he just envelops her until she just melts, and it's pretty great. Yeah.
Can I share something about hugs too? You guys can hear me, right?
Yeah.
My oldest is 12, and when he was like, I think 6 or 7, maybe, he was like, I was just having so much frustration with him, and like trying, like he was constantly getting into trouble and like fighting and all this, and I was just like, oh my gosh. And one day I'm like trying to cook dinner and he's like fighting, and I call him, I'm like, Parley, get in here. And he's standing there, and I'm just like, what are you, like kind of, yelling at him a little bit, and like, why are you doing this? And I was just like standing there quiet for a second, and I'm just like, I don't even know, like, and I don't know where this came from. I swear it was inspiration. I said to him, because he was just like melting, like having a meltdown. And I just said to him, do you need a hug? And he was like crying, and he's like, yes. And I'm like, oh. And I was like, I start crying, and I was like, oh my gosh. And so I just like gave him a big hug, and I was like, I love you. And I know life is hard sometimes. And like, it was so good for him and for me. And it was such a teaching moment for me, because I realized, because he's a really quiet kid, and he doesn't like talk about his emotions at all or nothing like that, but he needs that so much. And like, so that's like, he was acting out like, I need attention, Mom. I need you to pay attention to me and give me hugs, because, life gets busy. And anyway, so sometimes that's just what you need to do. Instead of disciplining, just give him a hug.
Yeah. Because I'm older, because my kids are grown, my baby just turned 19. I can watch. I watch other moms with their kids, not in a judgmental way, not at all. So don't even think that. But I watch, and I see how the little person might be feeling in the moment, and I can totally see how the mom would be feeling in the moment. And they're in two different places, right? And if you could take a step back and try to see where your child is in that moment, they're probably not where you thought they were, because kind of when we have that frustration, it's because we think that their goal is to oppose us, and it's not really. I mean, they might use that tactic for a minute, but that's not what they're needing. That's not what they're asking for. They're generally just needing your time. They're needing a little something, and they don't even know what, but sometimes a hug can fix that a little bit, because it can help them just calm down and kind of get a little bit of, control over their emotions and feel safe again and know that they're in a good place. So yeah, it's so hard. It's so hard because you're in the moment and you forget. And what beautiful faces we're getting to see now. That's so much fun. I love it. But yeah, so think about that. Think about using hug therapy. Did you guys read Lindsay Watkins' comment about her husband chasing their kids?
Oh, they think it's so
embrace
funny.
your father.
Yeah, he does. He just embrace your father, and they're like, no, run away. But it's funny because I have like reversal hug issues, because sometimes I just need a hug, and my kids, they like to hug, but for a while it was like, I just want a good quality hug where you're not like trying to lick my face or groom me like a monkey. Just hug me. Just and so I told and I started this probably a few years ago, and I'm like, okay, I just want a good quality hug, which means no messing around, just hug me, because I wanted the hugs. And so then they switched it to like GQH, good quality hug. And it's funny. So now my kids will come up and they're like, GQH, and they'll just climb in my lap. And that's what they say. And when my son was in kindergarten in public school, they're like, write 5 things. It was Mother's Day. Write 5 things you like about your mom. And it was, oh, she's pretty. She makes fun donuts or whatever. But the very last one says, she GQHs me.
Oh.
And the teacher was like, I have no clue what that means. Like, she had to ask me what it meant. But it was so funny. But now they've added like GQS, which is like good quality snuggle, which is longer than a hug. They want to just snuggle for a while. But I needed it. I just wanted a good quality hug. And so I had to like force it upon them just to do it. And now, like I said, it's now a thing in our house where someone just yells GQH. We know we need to stop and just calmly hug each other. But except for the embrace your father thing, that's just the game. So it's fun.
I love it. That's so sweet. Now that's just become part of your family culture. And that's really neat. You know, something else I was just going to insert in here is that so many times when I'm reading things about what our children need, or we're sharing things about something that worked really well for our children, I think, oh, that works for me too. You know, so really that works for any relationship. It's just easier to describe it using children, because I think as adults, we feel too vulnerable saying, you know, I need a hug. I'm having a tough moment. Can someone just snuggle with me? Because I don't really like my day right now, you know, or I feel overwhelmed, or I'm not sure what to do next, or I'm a little bit angry. I'm frustrated. I don't know what to do with those emotions. Don't you feel like that? I mean, if you're being really honest. But anyway, so we couch it all in, well, this is what we do with our children, you know, but really it's what we need. Yes. Yes. Blanket forts. Yes. And pillows. Absolutely. Absolutely. So see, I'm so sad because my kids all are, you know, at the ages where they kind of think that they're too old for those things. So I don't have like a really great excuse to make a blanket fort anymore. So Amanda Gabbitas, who's on here, her due date for my very first grandchild is Tuesday, and I'm so excited. So new excuses for making blanket forts. But I think I'm going to make them for me. Amanda, she's all worried and nervous and the baby's coming. But you know what? Wouldn't that be fun for your teenage kids if you just accepted the fact that you love whatever it is, blanket forts, pillows, snuggling, tree houses. That's my thing. I still want a tree house. I'm gonna die wanting a tree house, but whatever it is, go with that. Sledding on cookie sheets. Exactly. Okay. So Lindsay and her family, they're in Tennessee. They got snow finally this week. No sleds. So she seriously used her cookie sheets and they went sledding. I love it. But our big kids, you know, they could benefit from us being vulnerable and saying, hey, I really need this. You went sledding in tubs. Hey, did anybody see, I love it. Did anybody see on 1,000 Hours Outside, one of the stories that she posted was a couple different ones of little kids out in the snow, but they're just in like a Rubbermaid tote filled with hot water. And they're sitting out there in their little, why can't I think of the word? Hot tub. There we go. Oh, how hard is that? Hot tub. I said the words in my description there, but anyway, just making things fun, just, you know, going for it. I love it. I love it. Okay. So what things are you doing with your family, or are you doing for yourself? You know, we're trying to make sure that our friends feel like you do not have to be homeschooling to be part of this group. You don't have to even have kids at home to be part of this group. Mothers of Influence are all women in whatever stages of life we're in. But it's fun to talk about the ways that we are interacting with the children and youth around us. So, and look at our comments. What is 1,000 Hours Outside? Oh, Shannon, you have something wonderful you get to learn about. And I'm going to let whoever wants to talk about it. It's so great. Oh, I saw something about somebody who brought snow in and used food coloring. That might have been you. That might have been on, I don't know, on your post, Ida. Okay, sorry. Back to 1,000 Hours Outside. Who wants to talk about that? Don't everybody jump in at once. Who's doing it?
I'm doing it. I know the other Lindsay's doing it too. So her movement is, she just is challenging people to get outside more. And so she wanted to get her kids away from screens and just outside with nature. And because she spent a day at the park and she realized, and her name is Jenny, by the way, and she just spent a day at the park with her friend and their kids, and she realized how rejuvenating that was. And so she started this huge movement of just doing 1,000 hours outside. And so she has a ton of things, a ton of ideas, just ways to spend time outside. And there are a few of us that are doing it. Lori's doing it without kids, so you don't even need your kids. Leave them in the house. But we have found that spending more time outside, because I mean, we've been outside an hour every day and it hasn't been above 28 degrees all week. And we've spent so much time outside just having fun. Just get outside and let nature be your teacher. Don't plan a whole bunch of stuff when you go out. Just let them explore and let them learn what they're going to learn. I mean, and it is a pretty cool movement. I know, like I said, a few of the other people were doing it as well. So maybe they have some more ideas.
She has like trackers you can print out, and that has been so motivating for my kids. Like they just want to be outside all day so they could just mark off more hours. They've got to be at 100 hours already for the year. I don't even know. They're outside all day, but luckily we live where it's been like 60 degrees every day this year. I mean, I feel kind of guilty even saying that, but I don't plan anything. We have this little spot by the river we go to now, and they just like wake up every morning wanting to go to the river, and we go down there and they just build forts, and the girls are building a fort and the boys are building a fort, and that's what they do. And they come home, they cross off their like 3 hours or however long we spent out there, and it's been great. So they don't watch as much TV, and they don't say they're bored. They just go outside. They're like, let's go outside and get more hours. So that's all they do all day.
Anybody else doing it? I don't know if anyone else on here is. Oh, I think Linnell, you were doing it, right? Or some form of it, right? You're getting out there with your kids. I've seen you out there with your kids.
Yes, I am in Minnesota. And so we are at -20, -30 degrees here, and we still get outside. And I actually want to share a little bit now about what I'm learning, if that's okay, Laurie.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love it.
So I'm going to share some of my personal learning, Laurie's question about what am I doing to nurture my heart? And I actually have some kind of big things to share. So Well-Educated Heart has changed my life and changed me so much. And I'm going to give a few examples. One, I'm from Hawaii. And so I'm used to warm weather, and living in Minnesota, the cold. Last year, I would just avoid the cold and stay inside and find excuses to not go outside. I did not like going outside. See, and because of Well-Educated Heart, I look forward to going outside now. I started doing this 1,000 hours challenge, and now I crave being outside. And I'm a completely different person. I want to be outside, and I take my children outside, and I used to keep them indoors because of the hassle and because of the cold and because of housework. So that's one huge change. And I actually want to share an insight that I had. One time I was outside and my son slipped on ice and he hit his head really badly. And I was really worried. And after he got up, he overcame that fear by going back to that ice spot and throwing snow on it and trying to figure out his movement a little better and got his balance better. And these are all things that he learned and overcame on his own without any help from me. And this is just one example of so many things that I see them learning from being outside. And then I had this really cool insight that, well, being outside, Mother Nature is a mother. No wonder she's called Mother Nature, because she teaches us. And there's so much we can learn from being outside. And so that's why it's so important to be outside with her, spend time with her, and learn from her. That was a really motivating thought for me, that not only my children can learn, but I can learn from being outside too. Another thing that really motivated me to get outside is I watched a gardening show that was recommended on Well Educated Heart last year, the Back to Eden gardening method. And I watched it and I was so inspired by it. So last year I started a garden, and this year I'm continuing gardening, and it's just so exciting to see a little seed grow, which I have never been able to keep a plant alive. And so to see that life and to be able to create that in my home is really inspiring. Okay, so that's just going outside. Another really big difference for me is that I never read books. I never gathered books. I thought books were clutter. I didn't recognize the value in them. I didn't want any bookshelves in my home because I didn't want that clutter. And now I have huge bookshelves and I have so many books, and a lot of them are Well Educated Heart. I have My America Storybook right here. I'm doing my own My America Storybook right here. And something that was really cool. Sure. Something that was really cool is that I bought 2 copies. I bought one for me and one for my 5-year-old son. And give me a sec, let me find your page. And he started it and he's 5. So it was kind of over his head. It was too much, too complicated. And he didn't want to do it. And I was okay with that. And I didn't force him to do it. But as he saw me doing it, he eventually started doing his own. He would grab a paper and just write scribbles and draw boxes and do his own My America Storybook. And it's just been really rewarding to see how he is watching me nurture my own heart and learn myself and do my own thing. And then he's copying me. So everything Marlene says is true. Like, I am a testament of that. I believe 100% everything she says. I have some things. Can I show them this, Nadie, please? So in my book, at first I used to do it all. And then after a while, my son wanted to do it and I let him kind of do a little bit. And so he wrote the name on the top. So he's kind of contributing. And I think that's really awesome. Okay, and one more thing I want to share is that I used to never wear makeup. I was one who thought makeup was a hassle. I didn't enjoy taking it off. I felt like it was too cakey. I also didn't know how to do it. I have a lazy eye and I can't see really well out of one eye. And so I had that excuse, like, I can't even see out of my eye. How am I gonna put makeup on? This fell out. I can put it on the side, thanks. So I never used to wear makeup. And as I've been learning about Well Educated Heart and nourishing my own heart and reading things, I realized that one of God's most beautiful creations is his children. That I am one of God's most beautiful creations. And when I actually felt that and understood that and believed that, it made me want to be more beautiful. It made me want to take care of myself in a way that I could show my beauty and feel that beauty and enhance the beauty that God has already given and made for me. And so I realized these small things in myself that are changing not only my heart, but it's changing my outside. My home is different because I have bookshelves and I'm gathering books. My lifestyle is different because I go outside now when I never used to go outside. I am softer and kinder and calmer and more patient with my children. It's changed everything about my life. And there's no aspect in my life that hasn't touched it. Even my marriage has been changed because of Well Educated Heart. So it's kind of a huge question. I kind of waited a while because I was like, well, what could I share? There's so much. And I ended up sharing a lot about it. But I just want everyone to know about Well Educated Heart. I want everyone to apply it because it's just so good.
I love it. I love that, Linnell. And you are so thoughtful. You're so careful, in the things that you say. And I aspire to be like that. But I appreciate your input so much, so much. She's one of those, she thinks and ponders and and I appreciate that. Yeah. And the makeup, that's really interesting. I remember either I did a really poor job of it or I just kind of was stubborn about it. I kind of didn't like that we were defined by, if we looked a certain way or not, whatever. And my sisters were forever, oh, Lori, what are we going to do with you? Pull me into the bathroom to do a makeover. But,
I'm going to just say I don't ever wear makeup. But I think that's so and I might not start wearing makeup or anything, but also just taking better care of yourself. I would roll out of bed and put my sweatpants. I'm not going anywhere. So whatever, just throw it on or not try to make myself look nice. And that makes such a huge difference in how you feel and how other people respond to you when you're taking care of yourself. And it impacts your children too, so much. And like Linnell was saying, it's this has totally impacted my marriage too. Like listening to When a Queen Rides By, I was so inspired by that story. I was like, whoa. And it totally changed my outlook on my role as a woman and a mother. It was amazing. And I was like, I need to think about this more and change something. So yeah, I love that too. So good. Thanks for sharing that, Linnell, by the way.
Can someone remember where on Well-Educated Heart you can find When Queens Ride By? I know we've had to find it before on here. It's so good. It's definitely worth listening to. It's a listen. So it's so easy. So much of what Marlene puts out there, you can listen to. She knows that you're busy moms. She knows that it's not easy to sit down and, we can only go to the bathroom so many times during a day. We can only lock ourselves in there for so long without worrying about what chaos is ensuing outside that door. So, so she records the things and we can listen to them, which is just such a blessing. So
Yeah,
I think
sorry to interrupt you. Sorry,
No.
she has a podcast on Apple and Google. It's called Well-Educated Mother's Heart. So there is just a podcast. So you don't always have to go in and find it on the website as well.
Oh, great. And can you search on podcasts? Maybe not, but you can find
Yeah.
it, but it would be listed there on one of the episodes. Oh, it's episode 181. It was right there. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So that's awesome. So Well-Educated mothers, I don't know. Number 181. Definitely worth listening to. So good. So good. That just makes my heart soften listening to it. And I loved, okay, hold on. Who was talking about needing their heart needed to be softened? That everything else was, I think I wrote it down. Shannon. It was Shannon. Yes, that's me. That's me. Like I've got strengths in other areas, and I know that. But my goodness, my heart has to be softened over and over and over again. That's a daily pursuit for me, an hourly pursuit for me. And if you know that, then that's okay. Then you know what to do. You know that you need to feed your heart things that soften it, right? Things that are nourishing to our hearts. So I think that's wonderful. Okay, more comments on softening your own heart, nurturing your heart, the blessings of that. Shannon.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I know I talked a lot, but I was prepared to share something I found this week was from, it's an excerpt from the diary of Anne Frank, and it actually goes along with the whole outside thing. So she was saying, so I only screenshotted like the ending part of it, but she was saying that her, when you're going through hard times, she said what her mom's advice was, think of all the misery in the world and be thankful that you are not sharing in it. And then she says, my advice is go outside to the fields, enjoy nature and the sunshine, go out and try to recapture happiness in yourself and in God. Think of all the beauty that's still left in and around you and be happy. And then she goes on to say, I don't see how mommy's idea can be right, because then how are you supposed to behave if you go through the misery yourself? Then you are lost. On the contrary, I've found that there's always some beauty left in nature, sunshine, freedom, in yourself. These can all help you. Look at these things, then you find yourself again, and God, and then you regain your balance. And whoever is happy will make others happy too. He who has courage and faith will never perish in misery. Yours, Anne. And I just thought that was so beautiful. And for me, nature has always been like a really big part of my life and really important. And so when like COVID hit and then times when it's like been really bad weather or whatever, which, you could say there's no bad weather, it's just bad clothing or whatever, but or bad attitude. But sometimes like if I get in like a more depressive kind of a state, like it is hard for me to get myself to go outside. And one thing that's really helped me with that, like I have no problem like getting the kids to go outside, but sometimes I do get stuck inside doing all the chores and like, oh, I can finally have like a few minutes by myself. I'll stay in here and clean. And But one thing that's actually helped is that since we've lived here, we actually live with my mother-in-law, but she lives on 1 acre and we're kind of in the country. And so she let us get goats and chickens and rabbits. And so I have to go outside and do animal chores every day, or the animals die. So it's been really cool for me to have that responsibility, because if I haven't gotten out all day, I'll get out there and it doesn't matter if it's like freezing cold or like billowing storms, whatever the weather is, when I'm out there, I'm just like filled, and just so much peace and calm and, slowing down and just connecting with heaven. And it's my favorite. And so yeah, anyway, so I'm really glad you guys talked about all that, because that's definitely something that I need to recommit to for myself since it got really cold, because I've been kind of a wuss about it, even though I grew up in New York in the cold. I've just, not been wanting to go out as much, but it is really, really important. And so anyways, I appreciate everybody's comments on that.
So you can see you have experienced the benefits, so they're there. It's just getting yourself out there to do it, right? That's so good. That's so good. And Jenny Ulrich, she talks about that. And she even talks about merino wool. She'll tell you, okay, this is what you need if you're going to get out there, because this will keep you warmer and dry while you're outside if it's cold like that. I love that. And her initial, when she first started this, I love her beginning story, and I don't remember the whole thing, but she was struggling as a mom and really feeling overwhelmed by motherhood. And a friend was talking to her friend who had studied Charlotte Mason, and some of you might be familiar with that woman, with her name. She was an educator in the mid 1800s and believed that every child deserved an education, not just those who were happened to be in a situation where they could have a nanny or a governess to provide that. But she also felt she was a big believer in spending time outside. And so this friend of Jenny's had been reading about Charlotte Mason, shared that with her, and Jenny thought, it's worth a shot, it can't hurt, and tried getting outside with her kids, and just the benefits were immediate for herself and her kids. And so then she kept doing it and kept learning more about it and seeing it happening, seeing the benefits, but then also kind of researching and learning much more about the benefits of outside time. But one of the important things is we need to get out there too. And it's hard to pass up that opportunity of nobody in the house and we can get stuff done without any interruptions, but it's important for us to get out there. And I know there was something on her page, and I was going to read this to you, just a little something. And this is a Charlotte Mason quote. And Charlotte Mason, who recommended that children should spend 4 to 6 hours outside every tolerably fine day from April till October. And what did they say in the cold places? There is no such thing as bad weather, only. Anybody know? Yes. Only inappropriate clothing or bad clothing or something like that, right? It's just the clothes. So if you have the right clothes, then there's no such thing as bad weather. And yes, Lindsay, never be within doors when you can rightly be without. That's Charlotte Mason too. So 4 to 6 hours, is that right? Yeah, 4 to 6 hours outside every day. Okay. Now you wouldn't have to be out there with them that whole time, but for a good part of the time you could be. And wow, wouldn't your day be pretty amazing if you could spend that time outside? I mean, don't automatically go to, well, Lori, that's not reasonable. I can't do that. My day, I've got, don't do that. Just for a moment, go into little dreamland. What if you could spend that amount of time outside? Just enjoying outside. I mean, it might be gardening, it might be hiking, it might be just playing outside, it might be just sitting outside reading while your kids play outside. I'd be walking while your kids are running around. But wouldn't that be amazing? Even just half of that time would be pretty incredible. But anyway, she says, in the first place, do not send them. If it is any way possible, take them. For although the children should be left much to themselves, there is a great deal to be done and a great deal to be prevented during these long hours in the open air. And long hours they should be, not 2, but 4, 5, or 6 hours they should have on every tolerably fine day from April till October. And for us, we have no excuse because we can do it all year long because our weather is quite nice. We don't have excuses here, but you guys, look at Linnell. They're getting out all the time in negative temperatures. I don't even know what a negative temperature feels like. I really don't. I'm sorry. It's cold. I believe you. That's good enough for me. I'll take your word for it. I'm such a baby. I have in my room this cheapy little box portable sauna thing that you're supposed to sit in, and it has a hole for your head. Like you might have seen them and thought, okay, nobody actually ever buys those because those are kind of silly. No, that would be me. And I like a sauna. I want to be in a sauna. So I take the chair out and I go and I sit in my little box. It like comes right here with my my only terry cloth headband that I have, which is a unicorn one that my sister gave me for my birthday. So I have my unicorn horn, and so I'm sitting there last night in this thinking, that's kind of an interesting thing, but I like the heat. So yes, summers are hot in Bakersfield, but I'm outside in the heat. I'm okay. I like it.
I love what everyone's saying about being outside and stuff. And I think as moms this week get so wrapped up in the have-tos that we forget that the time is going by super fast.
Oh,
and that, my have-to of having the dishes done, the clean, the laundry, the whatever, right? It actually kind of, I don't want to say it goes away, but it's less and less as the kids get older and whatnot. And then with me not being that example, that influence of them of going outside, are my children going outside, right? Did I set that example for them too, which I'll be honest, really bad at. But what kind of influence of going outside, doing that, because all those have-tos will definitely go down, and they'll be there tomorrow. They go away. The kids are able to help clean, fold laundry, do their own stuff. But that time with them to teach them and do that with them, it's such a short period of time. Now I know, but did I teach them to take advantage of go outside, to go, do stuff for your spirit and read and, do all of it? Did I plant those seeds? So.
Yeah, we have lots of opportunities for influence, lots. And, even if you were just to start and say, okay, one day a week, I'm going to do it. One day a week, we're going to get out. I always took Fridays off. I just could not do school 5 days a week. And we homeschooled, so I got to choose. So that was an incredible blessing and super fun. So we took Fridays off. We always had backpacks ready to go that had some paper, some colored pencils, magnifying glass. I mean, whatever they would have thought was cool at the time. They had their own backpacks, but then I had mine that had all the things just in case, in case they forgot their whatevers. And we would just go and we would just get out somewhere in nature. A park works, anywhere, or your backyard works, if that is what you need, that works great. But just get it outside, take some food outside, eat outside. There's something magical about eating outside. Kids love that. And they feel like they did this big, huge, incredible, wonderful thing. And you just saved yourself a mess in the kitchen. So it's like win-win situation. So think about ways that you could do this and start small, but you're going to do it. And then you're going to say, oh my gosh, I have more energy. I feel better. Wow, the kids, all that restlessness, they got rid of a bunch of that. And so they're a lot better. I know that Jenny also says naps, don't worry about naps. Kids sleep really well on your lap, in a backpack, in a stroller. They'll run themselves tired and then just fall asleep, crash. Just stay out there, bring a blanket, lay them down, Take advantage of what nature brings to you. And it's such a gift. And we've forgotten about it. We've gotten busy, and then we stay inside, and we think that, we've become kind of slaves to our routines. Don't do that. Because like Amy said, they grow up so fast. And then your opportunities with them home as little ones are gone. To do those kinds of things. You have lots of other new opportunities, but those are gone. Linnell, were you going to push your button and say something? I saw you reach out. Okay. I was like, I'm always open. Okay. Other comments? What do you think? Oh, fire pit hot dog dinners. Awesome. We just had a bunch of young women over here the other night and we did a fire pit. And I took advantage of that opportunity because I've always wanted to hang Christmas lights out there. It's like, oh, the girls are coming. We had it. So now I have Christmas lights out there. I'm so excited. So, but fire pit, you know, do that. What else? What are some easy things that you could picture yourself going outside to do with your kids? Could you do that? Could you commit to getting outside with your kiddos? Or what have you done? What works? So you can help the mamas that are like, I don't know. Lindsay.
It doesn't have to be during the day. We go lay out on the trampoline and look at the stars and watch the satellites fly over and just talk about constellations and things. It doesn't have to be during the day. I know Jenny had mentioned doing like night hikes where she took soup cans and they just punched holes in them and put little candles in. So they had lanterns and they went and hiked at night. And I mean, there's lots of creatures that come out at night that you wouldn't see during the day. Not that you want to run into all of them, but they're there, you know, but it's just, it's each time of the day has a different level of magic. I mean, being up at sunrise, we're surrounded by deer out here. So when we get up really early, they're usually setting our ring off because they're walking by my front door. And so just getting up early enough to see them is a lot of fun. Just ideas.
Oh, I love it. I love that you don't limit it. Don't limit it. Okay, what else?
Something that's easy and fun that we do, like in the summertime here, it's so hot. And my kids love going swimming, but nobody wants to go in the daytime because it's so dang hot. So we wait and we go at night, like after dinner. And when it starts to get dark, and it's so fun to go swimming then, and you're like being outside and getting a little exercise. It's not exactly the same as nature, but there's a pool like less than a block from us, so we just go over there all the time.
Oh, that totally counts. Outside time. Okay,
My kids, even to this day, we do two things. I'm food driven, as you can see, I'm always eating. One thing is because we don't have a fire pit, my husband won't let me have one. In the winter time, and sometimes we're inside if it's snowing, or outside, I get tea lights. I have tea lights, and we roast marshmallows over tea lights, you know, because it's inexpensive, it doesn't make a mess, you know, that kind of thing. And then the other is scavenger hunts. Even to this day, my 15-year-old, you know, with her friends, I'll do a list and do scavenger hunts, and then whoever gets it, we do a treat. Like I said, I'm food. There's always food around, so there's a treat at the end. But scavenger hunts are always so easy, and people list things on, you know, to get ideas and stuff like that. So
love it. That's good. And ask them, you know, get them involved. Hey, do you want to plan an outing for the family? That comes up over and over for me. Things that like moms are like, oh, I really want to do this, but I just can't figure out how to get that into and ever since I read somewhere or saw somewhere, somebody said, ever since then, I've thought, get your kids, invite your kids to do it. Ask them if they want to be in charge of, it was Barbara Miner on here, bringing up, she wants music playing in the background, but some morning she gets up and maybe she's grumpy or tired and she just hasn't gone over there to tell Alexa or whoever, you know, to play something. So she started assigning it to her kids, and they love it. They love being in charge of that, you know? And so put your kids in charge of those kinds of things. Put them in charge of packing the backpacks. Put them in charge of, you know, and when they leave stuff out, are they going to learn next time what needs to go in there? Yeah. They're going to just kind of, I really missed, you know, not having water and just having a couple sips of mom's, you know, because she wouldn't let me drink her water bottle, you know, so next time I'll be sure to, you know, lots of opportunities for lessons learned. So what else? It's like brainstorming. And just so you know, I'm just going to insert in here. We do once a month, we always hit the Mothers University topic. So for the month. And then another week, we generally have another topic that we know ahead of times, and other times, because we're doing 4 times a month, which is kind of a lot, but none of us have wanted to stop. We'll have days like this where we're talking about application, you know, how it actually works, what it looks like. Okay, sorry.
You're fine. this is super random, but I just thought of it as we were talking, but, and we installed lights in our backyard, like big bright lights, floodlights to light up the backyard. And we did this years ago before I'd even thought about spending more time outside, but just that simple thing of just putting lights outside, it lights up our whole backyard. So it looks like daylight at nighttime, and the kids go out there and they play for hours after it gets dark. And I hadn't really thought about it until we were just talking about it. And I'm convinced that they do it to get out of cleaning up dinner, because the second dinner is done, they all get along really, really, really well. And they go play outside and they laugh and they're on the trampoline, and they spend just enough time for dinner to get cleaned up outside.
That's awesome. Okay, anybody else? Other ideas, other motivation or brainstorming ideas? And we still have moms on here that we haven't met yet. So if any of you want to introduce yourselves, we would love to see you and have you tell us a little bit about yourselves. But if you're not ready for that yet, completely fine. Like I said. And
is that mom on here with that fabulous closet? You know, that like dream closet that, you know, she was in?
Don't think so. Was that, I'm trying to remember. Kayla or Casey? I can't remember. But last week, yeah, I know.
Yeah, we're not supposed to covet, but it was happening over here. I was. It was fun.
Closet, that was pretty sweet. That was very nice. Or she's sitting there with her clothes hanging around her. We're like, where are you? But it was lovely. Okay. Any other mamas? Okay, did say we were also going to talk about this idea of being deeply seen. Oh, Elena Duncan, this is a new face for us. Are you coming on to introduce yourselves?
Yes. So yes, Elena Duncan. I live in Florida, so we have good weather all the time, no excuse. And I've seen a little bit of people talking about this on Facebook and curious about it, but something that helps us is mom wants to lose weight. So I'm like, we're going on a bike ride or a run, and so we're just in the neighborhood, but it's nice.
That's great. That is some good motivation, you know, pull them along with you. So you're not having to do it by yourself on your own. We lost her. Hopefully she gets back. Sometimes we have that happen where you get a bad connection and you get dropped. So we'll look for Elena to come back. So Florida, that's fun. Joanna Shaw.
Yes, that's me. So Ida is actually my aunt. So she told me about this group. And I am in Washington. We are in like the Columbia Basin, South Washington. Yeah, so I have 2 little kids, and just this is actually pretty much my first experience with anything with well-educated mother. So yeah.
Wonderful. I saw that you got a hello from her when you came on, so I didn't want to call you out, but I'm glad that you showed your face and introduced yourself. That's awesome.
Yes, so she's my family. Yeah.
And Elena, you made it back.
My sister called and I guess it just bumped me off. I didn't know it would do that, but so yeah, just enjoying getting out and exercising, and there's a lot of trails around here. We can go do that. It just feels good, refreshing.
That's so good for you. So smart. And it's smart. That's a good thing for your kids to see you do. You know, I was going to bring up when we had the little offshoot of the makeup discussion. One thing I learned is that the French women, they put on a priority on skin care over makeup. And so that's kind of been my approach, is I'm trying to spend more time with the skin care so that naturally, you know, and then I'll just enhance that a little. And so I liked that. I like the simplicity of that. So I was just going to throw that out there. And my mind works like this, you know, we talk about a subject and somewhere it's going on in my head. And then a little bit later, so you're just going to have to keep up with me. This is an exercise for all of you to follow me and try to keep up. Lindsay. So we've got Lindsay, another Lindsay on here. Lindsay, how do you pronounce your last name?
Cardall.
Cardall. Welcome. It's nice to have you on here too. Where are you from?
Bakersfield. And I didn't know that you were as well. So
Okay.
I kind of wanted to be a fly on the wall and just like see how this goes, but I'll introduce myself. I've been homeschooling for, well, I will say that I feel like I had like a revelation. Like a year ago, I started to get really, really interested in homeschooling, and I started asking around and just kind of researching a little bit. And this is actually on my nightstand, but I read the Well-Trained Mind. I just bought it last January. I just bought it. Well, I didn't read the whole thing, but I read up until my kids' ages. And then I started asking around, and I just wasn't quite ready to take the plunge. And then COVID happened. So I feel like Heavenly Father was like, well, you need some help. So here you go. Oh, and that reminds me, I noticed that a lot of you seem to be LDS. Is everybody on here LDS, or a lot of them?
It seems like our group is almost mostly LDS. No, not on purpose, but it's just kind of how it happened. We're definitely open to anybody who wants to come and chat. And we tell them, please don't mind us if we throw out lingo you don't know, just ask. We don't mean to do that. But
yeah, I heard somebody say ward. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
So I'm not used to talking to a ton of LDS people, but anyway, so I've been homeschooling. Well, we did the distance learning in the spring, and then when our school shut down in the fall, I pulled my kids from school and decided to homeschool, and it was really scary. And it was hard for me because I work a little bit. My husband's an orthodontist, and I work at his office. And so at first it was kind of hard for me to mostly manage my time and figure it all out. And now it still is, but I'm actually really, really loving it. And I kind of want to keep doing it next year. And a friend just asked me a couple days ago if I was going to put my kids in school. And she acted like I was crazy when I said, I don't know. And I hadn't even talked to my husband about it, because it's like, I secretly really, really love this. And I secretly just feel like I'd miss my kids if they went to school. And I don't know. But anyways, I've been following the Well-Educated Heart for like a year. My sister-in-law told me about it when I started homeschooling. And I basically just get on and like read everybody's stuff and like take a bunch of notes and write down book recommendations and like everybody's stuff. But I haven't been brave enough to make my own posts yet. But I'm just like learning from you all, but I'm trying to figure out how to make it work. Like I just got a tea set for my birthday last week. I haven't used it yet. I want to do the poetry tea time, but I don't even know how to do that. And like you said, that there's a lot to do, and I'm like, I don't even know where to go for hikes, so I'm just learning it all. Like I feel like so I grew up in a small town in Utah. I feel like I live in a big city right now, so I don't even know where to go for like hikes and stuff, but I want to. I just feel like right now my mind is just like hungering for like mothering and like nurturing, and like also I just have like this huge stack of books right here, and it's like a mixture of like church educational stuff and mother educational stuff. I'm just like, I don't know, like filling my soul, and I'm learning new skills. I'm like learning calligraphy. So I've learned that like Well-Educated Heart has taught me like it's not only about the kids, but it's about us as well, and like increasing our knowledge and our skills and our talents and our love for ourselves, and then it'll just overflow onto our kids and those around us. So sorry to talk so long, but I'm just like soaking it all in from all you lovely ladies.
Oh, it's wonderful. And I do sincerely love your enthusiasm. It's so great. I remember when my oldest was 2, and I just kept getting these thoughts about homeschooling, and I didn't know anybody who was doing it anywhere around me, because that was 25 years ago. And but it was in my heart, and I knew I wanted to do it. And so that's so great when it gets planted there, because it really does help you a lot. And Lindsay, you are in my same town. That's going to make it so easy, because you're also in the same town as Lindsay Bunting that you see on screen. Do you see Lindsay? So yeah. Lindsay is doing 1,000 hours outside. Lindsay has 2 families coming to her house today just to hang out and play. Lindsay is the girl to get to know.
Cool.
She will help you learn the places to go around, just around town, the places where you can go out and play and get that going. And then you just stay here with us and we will help you on your journey because you're going to love it. It's so much easier to do Well-Educated Heart if you have the confidence to just step back. Don't try to mimic, public school at home, and just let this principle work in your heart and let it trickle down to your kids. It's just absolutely amazing. It's amazing how easy and natural and wonderful it is. So I'm super excited for you. Okay, also I saw Joanna Shaw came on screen for a second. So Joanna, are you still close by? Are you still able to, were you going to come back? And I don't mean to call anybody out, so. Oh, hang on, we gotta unmute you.
There you go. I'm unmuted. Sorry, I set my phone down and then I couldn't find it again for a second. I was just actually wondering if people have been talking a lot about going outside, and it is something I love, and I feel like we're really good at it when it's warm, obviously, because my oldest is almost 3, and then I have a baby. So just kind of wondering if people have good ideas for what to do, like, because we have a bunch of snow outside, and obviously we live in a place where we don't generally get snow, so we don't have snow gear and stuff, but I want to be able to, like, let her experience it. So just kind of wondering if people have good ideas.
We have some people who are in cold areas, and I don't know, Joanna, did you get the resource, the 1,000 hours outside?
I don't know. Is it in the chat?
Yeah,
somebody just sent it. Yep. Okay, I will check it out.
So seriously, that is such an amazing resource. And does anybody on here, I should know, but does anybody else on here know which episode it was that Jenny came and talked to us here? So the mom that runs, it'll be like one of the one with the most views on YouTube, but or one of the most, but she's the mom who runs out the 1,000 hours outside, and she came as a guest speaker January 8th. I know that. So the date of the YouTube video is January 8th. So I would recommend watching that one. She came as a guest speaker. She talked about 1,000 hours outside. She talked about, kind of some of the benefits, and she was just absolutely wonderful. She was so funny. She came to us from her bathroom. She had a co-op going on in her house that day, and her husband works from home because of COVID. And so that was the only quiet room she could find. So, so she was our guest speaker from her bathroom, which I loved because it's just very real. Moms totally get that. And so there are lots of resources there, and it's so much fun. All the cool things. Like, I don't have that opportunity because I'm not in the snow, but I know Lindsay Watkins, I know you didn't you do the, you froze something and hung it outside, or I don't know.
Oh yeah, the fruit wreath.
Yeah.
Jenny does it with, I don't know if she's finding flowers in the snow, but she does flowers and plants.
Grocery store.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, she's better than I am. I just used fruit that was just almost gone and we weren't going to eat it. So we just sliced it up and we put it in our bundt pan with some boiling water. And yeah, we had these beautiful just ice wreaths that we hung out on the tree, and they're just so pretty. And if you put strawberries in it and put boiling water, all of a sudden it smells like strawberry lemonade. It smells so good. So we're out there smelling this ice ring. Our neighbors probably thought we were crazy, but it was fun because my kids, we hung out on the tree in front of our front window, and as it started melting, so they were trying to clock how long it would take for that thing to melt. And then as the fruit would fall, we would see certain birds come through and pick it up, or we found deer calling cards. So we knew they were hanging out near it. So it was really neat. So just things to let them experience.
That's so awesome. So you would put the boiling water in, put it in your freezer. Would it just freeze overnight, and then you would take it out and hang it outside?
Yeah, so we just put it in the freezer overnight, and then just dip the bottom of your pan in hot water to get it to come out. Tie some string around it and throw it up in the tree, and it was fun. We did a couple of them. So like I said, we just utilized fruit that was just almost gone, and we just didn't want to waste it. So
yeah. Now my sister-in-law, Kristen, she was on earlier, but she's not on at the moment. She they do a light thing with, they have these holders and they freeze water in them for months, you know, they like all the neighbors on their block, on their little cul-de-sac. And then they get them out at Christmas time and they put them outside and each one of them holds a candle, you know, and they put it all up and down their street. So that's a fun thing. I mean, you could just do that at your house, you know, and have a candle holder. I also saw blocks. I saw moms that were freezing blocks and they would color the water. And I saw on Jenny's story on Instagram at 1000 hours outside, on one of her stories showed a family, they had made it an igloo. And it was so cool, so cool. And they even showed inside the igloo, you know, with the light shining through the colored blocks and stuff. So, oh yeah, snow cone, yes. And the one time back in 1994, about every 14 years, it'll snow in Bakersfield. So that year, it's kind of a dumb story, but we were coming home from the beach. So we were driving home from the beach and it was, we drove through this kind of a little blizzardy, it's not a blizzard. I live in California, but it was snow and it was coming down and there were multiple snowflakes. So it was a blizzard. I can call it a blizzard, California blizzard. Anyway, but we got home and in our little berry patch, there was enough snow had fallen that I gathered it up and I made a little snowball because the kids were asleep and I could not get them to wake up. I tried so that I could show them, look, snow, you know, it's snow, ice, frozen water, you know. So I took the snowball and I put it in my freezer so that they could see it the next morning. Well, during that night, about 3 a.m, my neighbor called and she said, I'm so sorry. I know, I'm so sorry, but you have to know it's snowing outside and it's so incredibly beautiful. So I go outside at 3 a.m. and it's just that you guys, where it snows, you know this, it's just quiet, you know, like magically quiet. It was so cool. So, you know, I waited as long as I could. It was about 5:30, you know, and then I woke everybody up, you know, it's like, you guys have to come outside. This is so cool. So my little measly frozen ball of snow is in the freezer while outside is a winter wonderland. But, why did I tell you that? I don't know. I don't remember. But we made ice cream. That's why. Because we gathered snow, we brought it in and added stuff to it, whatever the Laura Ingalls Wilder, you know, Little House on the Prairie ice cream recipe. And it was so cool. That was so much fun. So those of you who know snow, any other ideas for getting outside in the snow? Things to do in the snow, adventures to be had.
Food coloring is always good to make stuff with food coloring, right?
So in a bottle or something, or a spray bottle. I saw that too. Okay, awesome. Lindsay?
I was just gonna say, if you don't get snow a lot, like it doesn't snow a lot here either. We get mostly ice, but you can't be afraid to we don't own bibs and all the winter gear, but just put on layers. Just get used to the idea that you're gonna have laundry and it's fine.
Yeah.
Just we wore like 2 or 3 pairs of pants. Well, my kids did, because it's gonna soak through because it's not waterproof, but just get used to, you're gonna have laundry, but you know what? You're gonna have so many memories. Like I said, we didn't have sleds, so I busted out my cookie sheets and it was so much fun. Just
I love that.
Use what you have, and you know, you're always gonna have laundry. So why not have some memories to go with it?
Yeah, exactly. Make it count, right? I saw a mom that had wrapped her kids up in plastic wrap after they got dressed. I don't know how it worked, but I loved it. Okay. My kids like to collect icicles, sliding down snowy slides. Oh, how fun. I've never thought about that. I want to be a kid again, but somewhere where it snows a lot, because I think that would be super fun. So fun. I love it. I love that you guys are trying stuff and getting out there. I think we will leave the seeing deeply for another time because we are coming to the end of our time. But if you want a good read, Michelle Craig, I'm gonna have to ask Lindsay to help me find it and put it in the email. But Lindsay Craig, last October 2020, for those of you who know how to access the conference talk, her talk, she talked about seeing others deeply and being seen deeply and how significant that is. And like I said, we will save that for another day because this discussion just went on and on. It was so much fun. So don't don't discount the many, many things that you are doing that count as learning. You know, my kids think it's so awesome that I'm a good cook. They just think that's the coolest thing. And they think you know, they'll, oh, Mom, you should open up a restaurant. You need to have a smoothie shop. You need to have this kind of a restaurant, you know, when they're little. And that made me feel super good. I mean, it's my kids, but it made me feel good. And I watch cooking shows and I read cookbooks. I'm one of those. And but that's interesting to me. And they watch that and they value that. So what's something you do, you know, give yourself credit. Think about that. What is something they see you do and they watch and they see and they think, oh, that's cool. And Mom does that or Dad does this. You know, anytime we are continuing to learn and grow and develop ourselves, that's such a huge positive for our kids. And don't think that they're not watching. You know, they watch every bad thing you do, right? Every mistake you make, you know, they're seeing all that. So why aren't they seeing the good too? You know, they're depending on their ages, they'll tell you all about the good they see, or they'll tell you nothing about the good they see and only the bad. But, you know, that's for those of you who have teenagers and know what that can be like. There are mostly all amazing, wonderful days, just a couple of them out there that might be a little less than. So just get out there, spend time with your kids. Don't forget about the hugs, hug therapy. We talked about hug therapy today, the magic of hugs and snuggling. Doesn't matter how big or how small they are, it works. You're feeling frustrated, when they're feeling frustrated, when they're misbehaving, try the hug therapy. Magical. Even for porcupines, it's magical. Okay, any other ending thoughts? And Lindsay Cardall, stick around so that you and Lindsay can make a connection.
We already did that in the chat.
Oh, I missed. Oh, you did private
chat.
Awesome. Yeah. Good job. Good job. Awesome.
I know, I was telling her, I remember her from a field trip our kids did to when her husband was a different orthodontist practice. It was like 2 or 3 years ago, and we did a field trip. And I remember her being so cute with the kids and teaching them how to like brush their teeth. And so we've already like kind of unofficially met, but not, yeah, kind of fun.
Small world. In fact, I know that, you know, we would find so many connections if we just had the time, you know, to do it, because it comes up all the time. I think that's very cool. So she knows my sister because my sister lives on the other side of town. So it's crazy. All right. We're going on to other things, back to our families and to whatever exciting things we have planned for Friday and Saturday and Sunday. Enjoy your weekend. Thank you so much for coming. I hope it was something, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something positive out of it. We hope you come back. We love getting together on Fridays. Good to be with all of you.
Bye.